Welcome back, boys and girls. So earlier this week, I introduced this whole idea of reading fables. And I told you that later in the week, we would talk about this idea of a moral. So when reading a fable, you will be asked to determine what a moral is. So we read the fable, The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot. So if at this point in the video you need to go back and reread or rewatch the story, The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot, please pause the video at this point. Go back to your Epic account and rewatch the video. If you do not need to rewatch the video, please continue watching the video and we will keep rocking and rolling. When you are determining the moral of a fable, there are a few really easy things that you can ask yourself to help you figure out what the moral of a fable is. A moral is a lesson. So think of yourself right now living at home, going to school at home, with your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whoever it is that you are living with. What is something that is important there at home? What is something that you are learning? Something that is being taught to you? When you're reading a fable, you want to ask yourself some of the same questions. You want to ask yourself, what is important here? What is something that I can learn from our main character? And what is one thing that I want to remember? Now, in our story, Ben is crying that he is seeing Bigfoot. He keeps saying that and people are not believing him. And then he actually sees Bigfoot and no one believes him. And Bigfoot ends up actually stealing his bike. And at the end of the story, he does end up learning his lesson and learns that he does need to tell the truth, so that in the end people do believe him when things do really actually happen. So the one thing that we need to remember from that is that when we tell the truth in the first place, then people actually do listen when it is important. So one thing that I like us makes it easy for me to do when I'm determining something that is important, especially with a fable, is I usually like to grab a sticky note. So when you are reading your fable today in your Epic book, because you will read a fable using your Epic account, you may want to grab a sticky note if you have one, or just grab a scrap piece of paper and ask yourself these 3 simple questions. As you're reading, what's something that you can learn from the character in your fable? Or ask yourself, what's important here? What's one thing that you think that maybe the author wants you to remember here? What is that one big idea that you can learn or take away from that fable, that you can learn, like what you learned from Ben as you were watching The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot? What's that big thing that you can learn? One thing that I hope that you guys can take away from some of these fables are some big life lessons that could help you with making some decisions and help you with your decision making. That's the big underlying theme with a lot of fables, is it really just helps with decision making and helps with life lessons and everyday decisions and things that you come in contact with. Again, I hope that you guys are enjoying these fables. I will post some pictures of the posters that I have been showing you in our lessons, as well as some other just quick anchor charts to help you guys as you work through the lessons this week. And feel free to ask any questions in Google Classroom, and happy fable reading and enjoy the rest of your week.